It's rookie minicamp day across the NFL. We have got you covered here on NFL Live. 26 teams start rookie camp today. Here's Shedeur Sanders. Actually, that's Jackson Dart. Just kidding. You're going to see Shedeur Sanders, though. Jackson Dart getting ready to go for the Giants. We'll check in on him. You'll also hear from him and what he said to the media. Ashton Jeanty ready to go for the Raiders. You see him making his debut in that number 2. I don't care that it's on the practice field. It's still really cool to see these rookies at their new homes. And now, as promised, here is Shedeur Sanders out there wearing number 12. We will see what Kevin Stefanski has to say about him. And in fact, that's where we go right now. Kevin Stefanski on his plan for his quarterbacks this week.
I wouldn't look into anything. I think you'll see the whole weekend going through the spring. I mean, we don't pay too close attention to who's in there first. There's plenty of reps. There's a lot of time between now and September, so we'll have a plan. But it's an all-encompassing evaluation. It's not something that it's just based on the practice reps. There's a lot that goes into it.
Kimberly Martin joining us now from Cleveland. She got to watch today's practice up close. So, Kimberly, what did you see from the quarterbacks today?
Yeah, Laura, school is officially in session here in Berea for both Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel, for them to take what they learned in the meeting room and apply it to the grass, as Kevin Stefanski said. And after practice, he said they actually look really good. Now, here's the thing. People are going to say they have 2 quarterbacks. Who's going to be the starter? Who's in pole position? This is day 1, Laura, of a very long process, and that's why Stefanski said, as you heard, don't read into any of this. The evaluation is ongoing, all-encompassing, and it will include not just what they do on the field, but off the field as well. I can tell you that they ran more 7-on-7 drills to accommodate having 2 young quarterbacks who need a lot of work on the field, but they got to get these guys up to speed with the vets coming in very soon. But so far, so good. But I will leave you with one housekeeping note, Laura. GM Andrew Berry was on the local radio station this afternoon, and he said that the likelihood of re-signing Nick Chubb is unlikely, which is not surprising for those of us around the Browns a lot, considering that they drafted 2 running backs. So there's one nugget for you guys.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Kimberly. I mean, we did recently see Nick Chubb lifting an ungodly amount of weight in the weight room, but somebody better pick him up. Let's get back to these quarterbacks for the Browns. Stefanski knows what it's like to have a few new quarterbacks in the room, right? He's had 11 different starting QBs since he became the Browns head coach in 2020, 3 more than the next closest coaches. Despite that, Stefanski managed to win 2 Coach of the Year awards during his tenure. All right, look who's here on NFL Live today. We have a great group. Jeremy Fowler in the house, Damien Woody and Kyle Van Noy back again for his second day joining us as an analyst. Of course, he's still with the Ravens, but he's here analyzing the entire NFL right now. Mina Kimes joins us as well. A lot to get to, and Mina, will be right back to you. But Jeremy, take us bigger picture on the QB position for the Browns. What are the expectations in Cleveland?
All right, so the Browns got these 4 quarterbacks. They're going to roll with that for the next 2 to 3 months to see how it shakes out. Shedeur Sanders will have every opportunity to make his impression and to make this team. The Browns also look at quarterbacks, like all positions, like currency, like value. They could trade one of these guys in August if they play well in the preseason. But they're going to give Sanders every chance because the word around the league was that he had a tough time in some of these interviews with other teams. That was not the Browns' experience. They felt good about him. They felt like he was a good person, that he's accurate on the field. So there's some things to like, but he has to beat out Dillon Gabriel because they were so surprised that the Gabriel dynamic and their courtship of him in pre-draft didn't get more publicity by the media. They low-key loved him for months and nobody knew it, and they drafted him 2 rounds earlier. So he's got to beat him out.
Yeah, listen, I think, first of all, no jobs are won in rookie training camp. A lot of fans, it's like Christmas, like Christmas morning. They can't wait to, unwrap the new rookies out there. But
I'm that fan.
Yeah, a lot of people are. But listen, I think the main thing is, and Kimberly Martin, she touched on, is really taking the information that you learn in the classroom and see if you can retain it and apply it on the practice field. That's really what the gist of all these rookie camps. And on top of that, just checking to see how conditioned these guys are, see if they've been true to their workouts. But you're not winning anything in these rookie training camps.
Yeah, I'm thinking ahead a little bit past rookie mini camps. Let's get into the OTAs and then training camp. As a defensive guy, I'm actually paying attention to it because I'm going into the trenches on the opposite side, practicing against these quarterbacks. I want to see who's going to win the job. Just like when I was in Miami, you had Tua versus Fitzpatrick going at it. And then in New England in 2021, you had Cam Newton and Mac Jones. So I enjoyed watching those guys go at it, getting a good glimpse of who they can be, who they can't be. And I'm excited to see what Shedeur and Gabriel do in Cleveland.
Being that you've had a front row seat for those quarterback battles, did you know at this point in the season or this off season who was going to be the starter? Do you know this early?
No, it is too earlier, like D Wood alluded to. I think it wasn't until training camp that Mac Jones, I believe Cam Newton got sick. Mac Jones took that QB1 position. When he wasn't there, he took all the reps against the Giants in a joint practice and lit it on fire, and that's what ended him getting the job.
Interesting. Mina, you know, Joe Flacco obviously in the mix here. The quarterback room for the Browns we know is very crowded. Do you expect the scheme to change for Stefanski in that offense this season?
No, I really don't. And not just because of Stefanski's history as a play caller, what he likes to do, which we're familiar with, but also their personnel decisions. Kimberly alluded to this in her reporting. They took 2 running backs, both of whom I liked a lot, by the way, in Judkins and Sampsons, in the first 4 rounds. They also took a tight end, Harold Fannin Jr. in the 3rd round, who's a really interesting player, super productive in college, more of a move guy, so he pairs nicely with David Njoku. We're going to see a lot of 21-12 personnel. A lot of under center play action. I saw a rep of Shedeur, who rarely played under center in college, practicing that. And I think we're going to see the same with Gabriel. And I think for the quarterback competition, what the Browns are going to have to figure out this summer is who adapts better to that scheme. That's talking about ball handling, the accuracy off of play action, working from under center, throwing on the move. These are the things that not just Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel, but also Kenny Pickett have to show. We saw that already with Flacco, and I think it's going to go a long way towards deciding who actually wins this. Yeah,
it was interesting. Tim Hasselbeck recently on our show was bringing up the point that you have to think about reps that these guys are going to get when it comes to actually even making the team. That's something to keep an eye on with so many quarterbacks on this roster. Let's go to Pittsburgh, where they still don't have an answer from Aaron Rodgers, but they did draft Will Howard. Of course, he starts rookie camp today. Will Howard out of Ohio State. We'll see what he brings to the table. Draft him in the 6th round, and right now they continue to talk about Mason Rudolph being in pole position to be the starter there, but Will Howard part of this group as well. Now, with George Pickens' departure to Dallas, here's what the Steelers' wide receiver room looks like. Here's who Howard, Mason Rudolph, maybe Aaron Rodgers is going to be throwing to. Robert Woods, DK Metcalf, the veterans, but they're both in their first season with Pittsburgh. And the most career receiving yards for any returning player is 1,154 by Scotty Miller. No one else has 1,000 yards in their careers. Steelers GM Omar Khan on how the Pickens deal came about.
Was reached out, I don't really remember what day it was, but earlier this week, and they gave us, they proposed something that we discussed where things, I guess, have been with George, where they are, and where things could go with George, and this trade made sense for everyone. We had 3 years with George, and we had some exciting times, but. It was just time for the fresh start for both sides was the right thing. Roman's healthy. I've seen him the last couple weeks out here.